And usually what we do is we start out with a small reading, and I have a couple paragraphs picked out from page 62. And it'll go through the first paragraph on page 63 for those that would like to follow along. And it says this. This is the how and why of it. First of all, we had to quit playing God. It didn't work. Next, we decided that hereafter in the drama of life, God was going to be our director. He is the principal, we are his agents. He is the father, and we are his children. Most good ideas are simple, and this concept was the keystone of the new and triumphant arc through which we passed to freedom. When we sincerely took such a position, all sorts of remarkable things followed. We had a new employer. Being all powerful, he provided what we needed if we kept close to him and performed his work well. Established on such a footing, we became less and less interested in ourselves, our little plans and designs. More and more, we became interested in seeing what we could contribute to life. As we felt new power flow in, as we enjoyed peace of mind, as we discovered we could face life successfully, as we became conscious of his presence, we began to lose our fear of today, tomorrow, and hereafter. We were reborn. All right, Paul, I'll turn it over to you. And for those that would like to ask questions, please use the raise hand feature.
Yes. All right. Well, welcome, everyone. Now, if you've been in AA and you follow the steps, they're sequential usually. So you don't do step 5 and then do step 1. You do step 1 and you get convinced of that, and then you move to steps 2. So basically, the condition that the steps will produce in you gets you ready for the next step, so to speak. Yeah. So that's very clear. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now, if you apply this to this reading, some people would think it should go like, well, who knows what they're thinking, actually. But you could see it one way, which is God was going to be the director. He is the principal. We are his agents. That could have been the first thing. But no, the first thing is you have to quit playing God. Yeah. And then when that's noticed, then that opens you up to the condition that will be ready for the third step, or this, the principle of turning one's will and life over to the care of a higher power. So it's very important in a sequential program, which AA is. You go from 1 to 12 in order. You don't usually shift around much. This case, first is quit playing God, and then next is the principle of reliance on something greater than oneself. So why is that? Why couldn't it have been, all right, I'm going to turn my will and life over to this higher power, and then I'm going to stop playing God? Why is that? Because why isn't it that way? They could have done it, yeah? They could have put the primary principle, which is turning one's will and life over to the care of a higher power and reliance on a higher power, which is the guiding principle of the program. But they didn't. And then the second would have been, all right, now that you've done that, you've got to quit playing God. No, it says first you have to quit playing God, because if you don't see the difference between you and playing God and what's playing God, that which is playing God will do the third step. Yeah. That which is playing God will live the principle in its own understanding, which is transactional. Yeah. I'll do this if you give me that or something. Yeah. So they make it very clear that first you have to quit playing God. Now, when I came in, when they started describing that head that I was listening to as playing God, I believed I was the one that was playing God. And now I have another order that I'm never going to be able to be successful at delivering, which is I have to quit playing God. Yeah, another freaking thing, which my whole life I wanted to run from these fucking responsibilities. You're giving me a huge one, which is I've been playing God. Yeah. And so very quickly, thank God, in time, my understanding changed. And I realized I'm not that which is playing God. It's very different, very, very different. Because if I'm that which is playing God and I hear that you have to quit playing God, there can be no signs of playing God, yeah, for me to be in the appropriate condition, which was never the case. When I could vow and swear I'm going to stop playing God, there was still God playing going on in the head. Yeah. So it's obvious I had no control over that which is playing God. I was sort of powerless and I was at its effect. So in this case, I realized that which is playing God isn't me. And then what it looks like when you quit playing God is different than I would have thought, which is I would think the playing God would stop. It doesn't stop. I lose interest in that which is playing God. And now I'm being directed by something else other than that which is playing God. Yeah. So the biggest aspect in my case of that which was playing God was it was the GPS I was listening to. So basically, it was giving me directions and everything and setting up destinations and setting up departures. And basically, that was producing a life that was quite unmanageable. When I started to realize I'm not that which is playing God, the first thing I saw was I wasn't turning left when it told me to turn left. I wasn't drinking when it told me you got to be drinking. I wasn't buying drugs when it told me you got to go buy some drugs. Yeah. So the first big whack to the system was the GPS of it, the guiding system. And then more and more relief came. So I feel this identification as what has defeated us produces a lot of misunderstanding. Yeah. That strengthens the bondage of self. So if you can get page 64 clear, and it's a description, not that we put in the book, but we took out of the book. Yeah. More was revealed to some of us, and we've taken it out of the book and emphasized it, that being convinced self manifested in various ways is what has defeated us. That's the statement. Yeah. That's the conclusion of the diagnosis. Being convinced self manifested in various ways is what has defeated us. Okay, what's the next move? We are now going to look at its common manifestations in our lives. What are they? Resentment, fear, harms done to others in the pursuit of what you want. It's very clear that the description is these manifestations are manifestations of self in our lives. But most of us keep calling them ours. Yes. We believe we're the source of the resentment. No, we believe someone else is the source of the resentment, but I'm the one who's having the resentment. But in fact, the resentment seems to have you, so to speak. The fear or the anxiety seems to have you. Yeah. And then you're acting out and stepping on other people's toes when you wouldn't really want to do that. But it's more important to get what you want and to stop stepping on people's toes, which is self-centeredness or self-seeking and frightenness, which has the word self in both descriptions. Yeah. When they describe the fourth column of the inventory, 2 of the 4 descriptions have the word self in it. I don't see your name in any of them. Yeah. But 2 have the word self in it. I don't see how we're missing it. I really don't. Or I don't know, maybe people believe the word self means an ego. So it would be us and the ego that we have. But what's that feeling of having an ego? I would say that's the feeling of self. Yeah. Because you feel like you have an ego and you feel like you can lose an ego. But what do you have and lose you? No, the you seems to be the one that has a lot and loses a lot. I say that's the bondage of self. Yeah. I say the bondage of self is your relationships to thoughts is you're the thinker. Your relationships to actions are you're the actor. No matter what action comes through you, At the end of the day, you were the cause of it. I do not believe that. I don't. Yeah. So I do not believe we manufacture our own misery. I do not believe we are the source of the problem. I believe the nature of the problem is foreign to us. And if you could see it as that, you could entertain the realm of being free from it, tell you the truth. Yeah. I think the real sticking point is we're bonded to that which we would like to be free from. And therefore we try to be free as self, and it gets caught in the web of self, can't get out of self. That's my humble conclusion of looking at stuff in myself and others for 30-something years. So, yeah. So let's read this thing. So this is the how and why of it. That's an incredible statement, eh? So this is the how and why of it. First of all, we had to quit playing God. Quit playing God doesn't mean playing God stops. It means you lose interest in the playing God. Yeah. So you quit it. Yeah. Like you quit smoking. Are there still cigarettes? Yes, but you quit it. Yeah. You've lost interest in it and you're not doing it anymore. This is the effect of the program, I humbly believe. It will produce a very healthy environment where you will lose interest in self. That's all. You will lose interest in that which is playing God. And what happens then? Maybe you become aware of something else, like the conscious presence of what we call God. So first, it didn't work. Next, we decided that hereafter in this drama of life, God was going to be our director. Now, if you don't like the word God, but you got to admit you're going to be directed. Yeah. Do you believe you've never been, there's been a day that you haven't been directed? So maybe you think there's a choice of what can direct you, fine, but there's no choice in being directed. Yeah. You're going to be employed here. You're going to be employed by the old employer or the new employer, but the act of being employed is definitely going to occur. Yeah. Yeah. So God was going to be our director. There you go. What does it say in AA? Perhaps there's a better way. Instead of trusting finite self, which means being directed by finite self, we're gonna trust the infinite, meaning being directed by the infinite. Yeah. And what's going to direct us is what has our trust. Yeah. So you want to see faith in what has defeated you, the belief in the thoughts in one's head. Yeah. The belief in the thoughts are sufficient to eclipse the experience of today and override it with thoughts about yesterday and tomorrow. What is that but faith? What is that but power? How could the only thing that's happening be overrun by thoughts about something else that's happening? Only by faith or trust or power. Yeah. So self is directing power, our power, for its own ends. And if we finally get to the point where we surrender those reins of our life, something else, call it Holy Spirit or Buddha nature or whatever, is now going to take your power and direct it in a different manner. Yeah. And you'll know the tree by its fruits. Yes. A bad tree cannot produce good fruit, and a good tree cannot produce bad fruit. Yeah. You'll know the tree, or you'll know what's directing you by the fruits. Yeah. Yeah. So he is the principal. We are his agents. He is the father, and we are his children. Most good ideas are simple. And this concept was the keystone of the new and triumphant arch through which we pass to freedom. Now, if anyone's ever gone to the Joe and Charlie things, they really emphasize the keystone and the arch. Yeah. They spent a lot of time on that. So in this case, we've got to see that which is playing God, hopefully is not us, because it's going to play God with the third step. Yeah. And it's going to do the third step as it does everything as a transactional thing. So it will surrender until something comes that's important to it comes up, and then it will take it back. Yeah. And then usually it fails, and then you have to go through the process of the wailing and the surrendering and taking up the whole hour of the meeting. And then another thing, meeting a girl becomes more important. You try to manage and control that. Bammo, the girl leaves you, back to the surrender, and it's so on and so forth. Yeah. It's purely transactional. If things are going my way, that's okay. If not, I'm taking the reins. Yeah. None of that is us. That is I humbly believe that's what self is. Yeah. Yeah. That activity of directing us to do what it wants. Yeah. Okay, so his children. Most good ideas are simple, and the concept was the keystone of the new and triumphant arch through which we passed to freedom. Incredible, eh? So what are we doing? If we're passing to freedom, we must be passing from the bondage, yeah? So we're passing out of the bondage of self into the freedom from the bondage of self, yeah? And the two things that are the most important movement is quit playing God, recognize that which is playing God isn't you, and then adopt the principle of having a new director or a new employer. Yeah. And then what happens? You pass through the archway to freedom. In other words, you pass your life that was in the hands of self gets now put into the hands of a higher power. Yeah. And just tell the difference, obviously. The beautiful thing of recovery, it produces the goods. It doesn't need a lot of advertising. Yeah. Even if you stayed sober only for a day, that was one day that you couldn't do before. Yeah. And you go back out. The amount of time isn't a miracle. It's the sobriety of whatever little bit of time you had. Yeah. That your life for that hour or that day was wrestled from self and was in the hands of something good and wise. Yeah. So for that day, you were sober, or that week you were sober. That's a freaking miracle. Yeah. People will say it was the first day I hadn't drank in 20 years. That's a freaking miracle. Yeah. Just by going to a meeting. So when we sincerely, and then here, so when we sincerely took such a position, what position? You could say it has two legs. One of them is you've hopefully realized you're not that which is playing God. And the second leg that you're going to stand on is the principle of higher power reliance. Yeah. And this is how we're going to keep walking in freedom. Yeah. When we sincerely took us such a position, they're combined. They're in the same paragraph. Yeah. The losing interest in that which is playing God, and then the new God that you want to see playing in your life. And this is how we keep. Now we have passed through into freedom, and now we'll stay free. Yes. He provided what we needed. This is incredible because most people are scared shit that terrible things are going to happen. Yeah. And yet in this statement, it's unbelievable to me. Unbelievable. When we sincerely take such a position, all sorts of remarkable things followed. We could have a 7-day retreat of people sharing these remarkable things. Yeah. Could go on and on and on. It could be like a telethon for hours and hours and hours. We had a new employer. When you hear a statement, you had a new employer, doesn't imply that you had an older employer. It's not like this is your first time you've ever been employed. No, you have a new employer. And the program is gonna bring into stark contrast the difference in the employing, yes? The new employer and the old employer. We had a new employer being all powerful, which obviously implies the other one wasn't, yes? He provided what we needed if we kept close to him. If this power is everywhere, how can you be far from him? So you already fulfilled that requirement, yeah? You cannot not be close to him, or close to it. It's right where you are. All right, so it's one requirement, one. It's mind-boggling. Oh, it's one too many. One requirement, which is very interpretive, to keep close to him and perform his work well. If you don't know what that may be, adopt a way of life of recovery, be of service, yeah? And if you do these two things, one is you can't do, you're already as close as you can be. Just perform his works well. The deal is this power is going to take care of you. Can you really sit here and sincerely say you have been dropped like a ball in AA tons of times? Give me a break. I've seen people, their whole life is based on AA. Yeah, they got sober, they met their wife, they had kids, got a job from someone in AA, bought a house from someone in AA, bought a car from someone in AA, go to AA vacations with AA people, so on and so forth. Yeah, their whole life was sprouted by recovery. And the whole thing that grew came from that germ, that seed of freedom. So these are the effects they give. Yeah. He provided what we needed if we kept close to him and performed his work well, established in such a footing. So now you're in the habit of being sober. You're in the habit, it's established now. It's not based on what you think or how you feel that day. You're sober. Yeah. You're in a habit. It's not like, oh, I don't know if, I'm thinking about going to a meeting. No, I think about which one. Yeah. I have the pleasure to go to a meeting today with one of my sponsees at 12 o'clock because people do the service for that meeting to be available. Yeah. Yeah. He provided what we needed if we kept close to him, established on such a footing, we became less and less interested in ourselves. There you go. That's the whole pivot point of recovery, is you grow less and less interested in self. That's it. That's it. And what does this afford or allow? Well, check it out. We became less and less interested in ourselves and our little plans and designs. More and more, we became interested in seeing what we could contribute to life. As we felt new power flow in. Are we producing that power? No, we're feeling it. As we felt new power flow in, as we enjoyed peace of mind. I hope all of us have enjoyed peace of mind this morning. Yeah? Isn't that incredible? You know how many people have not enjoyed peace of mind this morning? As we felt new power flow in, as we enjoyed peace of mind, as we discovered we could face life successfully. By trying to face life, we discovered that we could do it successfully. As we became conscious of his presence. Wow. So being self-aware isn't being, let's say, God aware. Yeah. And when you're excessively obsessed with self, you're pretty much unconscious to the presence of a higher power. So for all intents and purposes, there's only one power in your life, and that would be called the lower power, or trusting finite self. Yeah. So I'm constantly self-aware and self-conscious, but I have no sense of consciousness of the presence of something else in my life. So as it says in the book, we are 100 men and women who have recovered from a seemingly hopeless state of mind and body. It was appearing to us to be true. As we discovered we could face life successfully, as we became conscious of his presence, we began to lose our fear of today, tomorrow, or the hereafter. So we start outgrowing those conditions that were based on the basis of our life, which was the basis of our life was reliance on self. And that basis produced all these conditions. One of them, fear, which was mostly anxiety and all this stuff. And now that we're on a new basis, we begin to lose our fear of today, tomorrow, the hereafter. We were reborn. So we are reborn already now, yes? It doesn't say we're going to be reborn, or it says we were reborn, yeah? So basically, we're not going through another rebirth. We're living a new life in sobriety, yes? Yeah. We were now at step 3, yes. So to me, the whole thing pivots on a losing interest in self, which self cannot do. Yeah. This is the dilemma of self trying to get out of self. If I, as self, start going to a seminar about self for 2 years with the hopes of losing interest in self, that could be construed as interest in self. Yeah. What's one going to do? Are you going to, if you are not that which is playing God, how are you going to quit it? Yeah. You're going to quit it by losing interest in that which is playing God. This is what the program does. It produces a loss of interest in what we're not, so what we are can be more pronounced. Yeah. And what we are is not that which hates ourselves or is our worst enemy. We are not that. Yeah. We have been defeated by something of a foreign nature. And if you can see it's not you, you can be free from it. Yeah. A day at a time. It's one of the promises. It says the problem will not exist for you. And I'm sure a number of people sitting in these squares right now, for all intents and purposes, the problem does not exist for them today. I mean, what an incredible solution. It's just mind-boggling, literally. Yeah. So do you think I'm going to the meeting today to see the people there? No, I go there really to sense the presence of the loving God coming through the group conscience. That's what I remember when I leave. I don't remember many other people. I don't. But I have the same feeling of presence in any meeting I usually walk in. That's mind-boggling, eh? Yeah. And over the years, all the people are forgotten, but that sense of presence isn't. So you have to admit, maybe begrudgingly, you have enjoyed peace of mind, haven't you? Yeah, yeah. You have sincerely took a position, and now hopefully you're established in that position. And now that sense of overriding anxiety has been put to rest because you have a feeling as this action figure that you're in good hands. Yeah. Instead of feeling that you're in shaky hands. Yeah. I feel that I'm in good hands, not knowing if I'm ill or not, or this or that, or if my knee's going to pop out at any second. I can live a day at a time because I have a strong feeling that I'm in good hands. I did not have that feeling. Yeah. I did not have that feeling. I felt irritable, restless, and discontent. I felt so many jobs were on my shoulder and I didn't feel competent enough to fulfill them. Yes. I had anxiety that which was managing me was going to bring me to another unmanageable condition, which it did over and over freaking again. Yeah. But now I feel like I'm in good hands and very steady good hands. Yeah. So that I can enjoy peace of mind. Yeah. I can sense that presence. I can feel the new power coming in. Yeah. I'm looking at this meeting to see what I can contribute to the meeting. Yeah. And I'll do the same thing, probably in silence at the other live meeting I go to. Yeah. I'm not interested in what I'm going to get. I'm interested in how I can be used there. Yeah. I'm not trying to go to the meeting to get sober. I'm not. I'm trying to go there to follow the principles of this program, step 12. Trying to help other people who suffer from the same thing to achieve sobriety. Yeah. And support that. Yeah. Quietly or whatever way seems appropriate at the time. Yeah. I mean, we know what it's like. The obsession with self is a predictor of its own failing. Yeah. All the shit you ate and shot and did and that, and then you feel more empty than ever. Yeah. Wow. To me, that bondage of self is mm, mm. So, yep. Thanks, Mike, for the reading.
All right, thank you, Paul.
Does
I
anyone
see that.
see the first of all the importance of the quit playing God?
Yeah, Paul, when I heard that too, it took me until I came here that you explained it on on the quit playing God thing. Is it if you would have asked me before, I would have swore and took a lie detector test that I wasn't playing God. I mean, if you wanted to burn your life down, go for it. I could give a shit, you know. But when you explained it as like when you're sitting in bed in the morning, your feet haven't even gotten off the bed yet, haven't even gotten your cup of coffee, and your head's going to town, telling you that when he says this, I'm going to say that. And when the boss does this, I'm going to do that. That's playing God.
Yes.
Like you said, that switch came on, and been traveling lighter since.
See, this is the key, I think. I humbly believe a very big instrument of directed power is understanding in AA. When you understand certain things, it opens up like a skylight, and more light gets out and more light comes in. Yeah. A simple working understanding that the nature of the problem is foreign to you was an incredible uh I had been trying to figure out that lock and trying to work it and everything, and then it just opened sometimes through understandings. Like when I went to Joe and Charlie, a lot of doors were opened by the understanding they were sharing. Yeah. It really it was like thinking, bitching about there's no air in the house, and yet there's 12 windows. They're just all closed. Yeah. And then it would point out my role in things, and then the windows would start to open. And then I felt better. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the understandings of AA bring into stark contrast the misunderstandings of the previous employer. Yeah. Yeah. So, well, and the feeling of being directed. When it describes we're driven by tons of stuff, that really captured a lot of my pre-sober adventures. Yeah. The feeling of something on you that was driving you. Yeah. Yeah. Because no one, if they were a solitary, uh, separate thing, would end up where we have ended up. Yeah. Yeah. And over and over and over again. I mean, I know the people I run into that I haven't seen in a while, who have been ravaged by crystal meth and stuff, don't want to look like that. Yes. Yeah. They don't want to be running out on the highway to wash windows. That wasn't their dream in life. Yeah. They were taken over and then, for all intents and purposes, discarded. But if they come into AA, they can be recycled again. Yeah, that's the beauty of it. Like it says, no matter how far down you've gone, you'll see that everything can be of use, can be put to use. Yeah. Isn't that incredible? It's our own head that's keeping us in that prison. Yeah. It's playing God, saying it's never going to get better. It can never get better. So just try to scrounge around as it gets worse. Yeah. This is mentally origin. The origin is mental. Yeah. That's where the playing God is. Yeah. And it's really, for many of us, it's restrained now. But if you drink, yeah, that genie has a lot more than 3 wishes in store for you. Yeah, it does. I mean, it does. I've been watching it. I was just surprised by hearing someone went out who I had felt a lot of juice come through when they were, active. When I saw them, I was surprised. I actually had to ask the person a few times. It was the person I was thinking of. Yeah. So, oof, yeah. You know what? Could you imagine if your ability to enjoy peace of mind was taken over? Yeah. You know what contentment and satisfaction breeds? Contentment and satisfaction. Yeah. Hmm. This head causes a dis-ease and then starts telling you how to take care of it. Yes, doesn't it? It's the source of the discomfort, the irritability, and restlessness. And then it tries to direct you of how to get relief from its own nature. Yeah. How insane is that? Do you actually believe that head that's yapping to you in this like self-centered way has ever enjoyed peace of mind? Do you believe that? No, it hasn't. Yeah. It's incapable of coming to a stop. It's irritable, restless, and discontent. That's its nature. Yeah. It can't come to a stop. It can't smell the flowers. Yeah. So it likes to stamp on the flowers. Yeah. It can't feel love. It's mechanical. It doesn't even experience anything. It just narrates the experiences. Yeah. And interprets the experiences. It's never been there. It's never felt the flower. It never pet the dog. It never made love. It didn't eat that lovely lasagna that I had last night. It just yaps about it all. Yeah. It never tasted a thing, never felt a thing. It's never seen a thing. It's never heard a thing. It just yaps about seeing, hearing, feeling, tasting, and touching all fucking day. Yeah. I didn't feel enough. I didn't get it. Da. It just goes on and on. Now, thank God it's low. I don't hear it. And nothing, any of its songs it plays, there's almost no recollection of anything. It's great. It used to have some golden oldies, but they don't work either. Yeah. It's pretty, it's uh even the golden oldies can't pull the attention away from that presence, you know, if you want to call it God presence. Yeah. So I feel it's very distinctly different than us. I do. Yeah. I really do. And I hate when people, for it to be right, they go through a slow death, yeah, of drinking and using. Yeah. I'll write about some grievance or something, you know? Most people are drinking at something, usually. Yeah. Well, perhaps there's a better way. It's not about not drinking, it's all that. It's about trusting the infinite rather than finite self. Yeah. For many of us, that process has to start with not drinking and using. But truly, it's not about drinking and using. It's about where our trust lies. Yeah. And do you trust yourself to move that trust to the infinite? I don't. Yeah. I don't. I much rather hear the truth of what I'm not, and by recognizing I'm not that, lose interest in it. Yeah. And then I find myself established in this position that I at one time sincerely took when I came into AA. Now I am established in the habit of being sober. Yeah. Yeah. I have problems, but I don't have a problem owning the problems of my day. Yeah, I don't. My problems are not owned by the problem anymore. They're not. Yeah. Yeah. uh, uh, it makes life worth living, you know, the ability to enjoy peace of mind and stuff. Yeah. I don't feel gypped at all. I don't feel like I've missed anything, except maybe surfing every once in a while. Someone did it the same thing to me. I was looking at the surf forecast, and then someone told someone else who told me, "Oh, the waves are great." And I looked at the cam, and they were like 1 to 2. I was going, "Wait a minute, the waves weren't fucking great." Oh no, they were great. No, no, whatever. They were great for them. So, all right,
Hey,
I'm
Paul,
just
we
riffing
have a
now.
hand. Deanna has a hand up. She's been patient. So come on in, Deanna. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey,
Thank you. Thank you, Michael. Um, okay, so it's interesting that we're talking about this part of the big book because I had a very deep experience with this part of the big book just the other day. And I'm using a metaphor, and it's a very common metaphor, and it's an obvious metaphor that we can all relate to, right? So it's not something like profound or anything, but it hit me in a very, very deep way. And the metaphor was, okay, when I go to work, when I get a job for a new employer, I'm given a set of instructions, objectives, paperwork. This is what job description. This is what you're supposed to do. And if you don't do it, you'll be given X amount of chances and then you're out. And we all know what that means. When you're out, you don't pay rent, da da da. And I don't know. I just, in that moment, I thought to myself, wow, I have a new employer. I have a new employer, and I will listen to what that new employer tells me what to do. I don't care how crazy that it may sound. I'm going to listen to what that new employer tells me. Do I have some, does it look like this body has some problems? Yes. But it's nothing that my new employer can't handle and can't give me direction and show me. If I were to go to a new employer at a quote regular job and had a problem, they'd give me direction. And so this part of the big book became really profound to me. I think it's the most important promises in the big book, with the exception, I'll say one exception of the fifth step promises, when it seems the drink problem has been solved. I think these are the third step promises are the most important, because we will lose fear of today. We will lose fear of tomorrow. We will lose fear of the hereafter. We were reborn, and reborn is reborn in the mind that listens to the new employer and the direction given. It has nothing to do with the body or anything in form. And that was just very deep for me and very profound. So I wanted to share that.
Thank you. Yes. In a weird way, the new employer here is probably the easiest employer you ever had. It tells you got to stay close to it. You can't be far from everywhere. And you got to perform his works well. And they don't really specifically say which works and which doesn't. So you got a lot of leeway. And maybe you'll be the one who writes your own, what do they do when they do a job report on the person? Yeah. I think, I
Saw
think
that
if,
in the
if,
email. It's an evaluation,
oh,
Paul.
an evaluation. I truly believe, if you wouldn't believe how many unnecessary requirements you put on yourself if you got the evaluation of your performance from the higher power. I would think there would be a lot of you would see really the effect of something playing God on your ass. Yeah. Yes. Like you
Well,
have
that's,
you have to
yeah,
be
yeah.
in 30 different conditions to be able to receive the grace that's readily given at all times.
Oh, I see what you're saying. So that could kind of be like a setup.
I'm just saying, I'm just riffing. I wasn't really talking about that, but with the new, if you got an evaluation of you from the new employer, it would be very, very disarming. You would take a nice big deep inhale and and exhale with great relaxation, because all of the ideas and requirements that have been given to you by that which is playing God, that you've got to be this and that to fulfill something. No, it's not. All you need is the
Yeah.
desire to stop drinking today, and
Yeah.
you're gonna get the check from the new employer.
Yeah. Yeah. I totally hear that. And, the drink problem's been solved. And the interesting thing is, what you just said to me lit something up in me, because I thought, the job description is the intuition moment by moment. and I can never mess it up. I can
Yeah.
never mess it up. My worth is established by God, period, point blank. Like, that's end of story.
Yes, I would say that. Yes.
So I don't have to really worry. I could see for myself, thank you, because I could see for myself where that was having the potential to set me up. Oh, you didn't do this right.
Yes.
Yeah. So
That's what it does. It adds a lot of requirements to
it's so sneaky,
get through the
fucker.
gateless gate and to hear the open secret. See, this is when you see there's many layers of the head playing God, and usually if you stay sober, they're going to be revealed. It's insidious in its playing God. It has you looking at your own nature as something meritocracy, that you have to grow in merit to sense your own being, which is complete bullshit. And
Complete
so it has
bullshit.
you jumping through hoops.
What the fuck? Right. So maybe that could be, I need to ride that horse
Yeah, playing
real
God.
funly, in a
Yeah,
fun way, because I already am. And when
yeah,
consciousness is
exactly.
dissolved, all there is God.
The head
So
wants you to fail in your becoming what you already are. That's what it wants to do. So it can punish you and add more shit. You know what I mean? It's
I,
adding requirements to something that has no requirements.
I do, and that could be
Listen, I want to share this with you. This is another example of it. When I started getting sober in San Francisco, some people who were sponsors had a thing they used to do, and they would have you write down all the things you'd like to be after your first year of sobriety. So I had a couple of weeks. Yeah. So I wrote and they held it and I made it to a year. And then the guy read it to me. And you cannot believe how small the head played with me, man. It had me like fucking, and how life had treated me that same year based on what the head was expecting was fucking mind-boggling different. It was such an incredible
the,
illustration of that which is playing God. Yeah, it was. It was
oh
incredible.
my God.
So it
Okay.
was very, very
That which is
you
playing
will
God.
shortchange yourself completely listening to this head. Yes.
Listening to this head. Right. I hear you. Yeah.
Quit playing God is a lot of stuff. Yeah. Quit playing God has your ability to reach 12 feet as a disability that can only reach 5 feet. This is the bondage of self. The bondage of self is it has a lot of rules and regulations constantly being applied to you, and it has a bias already, and it's has a confirmation bias. So it reads everything the same fucking way, that you suck, you fail, you're never going to be loved, whatever. It just brings you to the same situation. And if that ain't something playing God on your ass, I don't know what is. And so for you to have the eyes to see, you first have to see the playing God. Obviously, that's why it said first you got to quit playing God. So first you got to recognize there's a playing God going on. Yeah,
Right.
don't point any fingers at anything, but there is a playing God going on. Where does it reside? In the head. Yeah, that's the origin of the playing God. And that's where the origin of our problem is, called alcoholism. It resides in the mind. So you're
Right. Okay.
getting closer, and then it's lined up. Oh, all right. What I've been listening to with abject fucking faith is unfaithful. It's not reliable. It's a failed system. It's not bad. It's just failed. So any life run on it is going to hardly be a success. That's a fact. All right, there you go. Now you start seeing that which is playing God, and you start losing interest in its playing God. In other words, you're not turning left when it says left, or drinking when it says drink, or shooting dope when it says you should be shooting dope. And you're breaking, or you're the expression, or the experience of the breaking of the bondage of self. That's what it is. Yes.
Right, right, which is the little head. And the intuition is listening to
Yes. The big, let's put it that way.
the big head.
This is kindergarten. This is spiritual kindergarten.
Yeah.
We make crayons. Yeah. This is the bad. This is the good. New employer, old employer. Finite self, infinite. Yes. Easy to
Right, right.
draw, easy to illustrate. Just crayon stick figures.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm not that. So it's just obvious. Yeah, you don't have to go through all the subtle. You just see it's either this or that. I'm going to be driven. I'm either going to be driven by this, which is finite self, or by this, which is the infinite. Yeah. What's going to cause what to drive me is where the trust is put in. Why do I represent trust? I have been trusting something that's not trustworthy, and here I am in this condition. I am now hopefully going to make a decision to trust something that's trustworthy. There you go. Yeah, and the AA program assists in that transformation. Yeah, and I've got to get going soon because I got to get this meeting at 12 today. So, yes. And I know the guy I'm seeing trusts that I'm going to be late because why? I'm always so he will save
So-
me a seat because he always has to save me a seat. Yeah. But I'm going to give it my best to try to get there on time. So thank you, everyone. I'm going to say goodbye. Thank you, Deonna. Yes, just keep rolling with the flow here. Eh? Mickey, our forever greeter. There you go. Kathleen, as always, Will H. Albert Roth, Michael Stacy. Albert looked like he's painting his house. That was cool. Michael Stacy, Axel. There you go. Kerry and Carol. Rico Cruz. Nice to see you, Rico. Terry and Camarillo. Michael D. in Buford, Georgia. Laurie, David in South Carolina. Wow. Christine, Joseph in France, Oliver in Berlin, Sean, somewhere, yes. Greg B, Miss Volkman, Jason, Mike M. Mike M, I'm going to be seeing in Italy. That's a wild thing. Paula, try to get everyone. Hey, thank you. Thank you for the, it's a privilege to be here. All right, I'll see you. We'll be here today at 4:30. We're putting next Tuesday, there won't be an AA meeting. I mean, a 10:30 meeting because we'll be traveling. So I sent it to Martin. He'll post the schedule starting next week for 3 weeks. We're going to have a different schedule. There won't be a Tuesday afternoon meeting, and we'll miss this Tuesday next week, but every other Tuesday in the morning we'll have it 10:30, like this meeting. All right, but we'll have it on the website. You'll be able to check it out. Adios. See you soon.